Bring the meeting to order. Can we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Simpson.
Here.
Commissioner Caldwell.
Here.
Commissioner Giorgiani.
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Can we have the pledge of allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sean, can we please have a reading of the public notice?
Notice of the meeting was given in the following manner. Notice of the meeting was transmitted to the Home News Tribune. Said notice of the meeting and a copy of the agenda were filed in the office of City Clerk on September 23rd, 2016. And said notice of the meeting and a copy of the agenda were prominently filed in the announcement board in the lobby of City Hall, 78 Bayard Street, at least 48 hours prior to the convening of this meeting.
I would like to have a motion on the minutes of May 25th, our regular meeting.
So moved.
Have a
Second.
second?
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell.
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani.
Yes.
And Commissioner Ovando.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I have a motion for our regular meeting on June 22nd of this year, 2016?
Second.
I'm sorry, that was a motion from Commissioner Ovando and second. Thank you.
Correct.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell.
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like a motion for our annual meeting, which was, I think, the 27th of July. Can I have a motion?
I was absent at that meeting, so I wouldn't want to make a motion.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Okay. Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell.
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes, sorry.
And then you need the regular meeting.
Excuse me?
The regular meeting of July 27th is the last one. That was the same day as the
Yeah, it's
annual.
three.
They come right after each other.
I thought I just did July 27th, our annual meeting.
That's the annual, you have that meeting right after the regular meeting?
Gotcha. Can I have a motion for our regular meeting on July?
So moved.
22nd?
I'm sorry, Ovando seconded? Right, okay. Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
Acting Chair?
Yes.
Okay.
Sean, can we go into, I guess we have some resolutions here?
Sure.
And we have
New business?
Presentations.
Would you like to defer from the agenda, or you want to go straight off the agenda?
You can let them go first, if that would be better.
Resolution number 28 is a resolution acting as redevelopment authority, resolution approving third amendment to redevelopment agreement with St. Peter's University Hospital, Inc. to extend demolition and construction deadlines for a project consisting of an office building and off-street parking in the Easton Ave redevelopment area.
Can I have a motion on this?
So moved.
Resolution?
Second. You have Special Counsel Yvonne Marcus is here to speak on it.
Good evening. I'll just briefly introduce this because we have representatives from St. Peter's and their attorneys here to discuss the details of their request. St. Peter's acquired the former Votech property, which had been the subject of a redevelopment project that didn't ever get off the ground. St. Peter's has plans to use the property, but has requested an extension. Well, last year they requested an extension until October 29th this year to decide how to use the property and to work with the city on a redevelopment plan that satisfied their requirements. And because that was not yet determined, they have held off on demolishing the existing buildings on the site, thinking perhaps those buildings will affect the ultimate use of the site. So we received a request from St. Peter's through their attorney to extend the deadline for demolition for another year until October 29th, 2017. And that is the subject of the third amendment to the redevelopment agreement, which you have before you and which is the subject of the resolution that you'll be voting on. But I would ask Brooke Luxembourg from the Wendell's firm I'm from the Willens firm, to describe in more detail, and perhaps she and her client will address any questions that you might have.
Sure.
Brooke?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brooke Luxembourg from Windell's Marks here in New Brunswick. I'm here with Bob Mulcahy from St. Peter's University Hospital. He's the facilities manager,
Right, that's fine.
close enough? Okay. Of St. Peter's University Hospital. We're here, as Ms. Mercuse already described, to request an additional one-year extension through this Third Amendment to redevelopment agreement. We don't, essentially this process is taking longer than we thought. However, we're in continual conversations with both the city and having internal discussions with our development people. We obviously have not yet come to a conclusion on how best to use the property in such a manner that would be financially viable for the hospital and workable for the hospital and the city, and in line with the city's thoughts on how the property should be used. Any particular questions Bob may be able to answer. However, our request is simply for another 12 months.
Yes.
And I guess, Bob, the thoughts on, it's been vacant for so long, so
Yeah.
beautifying it for the year, or to do anything that would make it a little more aesthetically pleasing? Any
Well,
thoughts on
we
that?
do have a landscape contract on it right now. The question is really trying to develop that, a building there that we can use and the city's happy with.
Right.
And we've been back and forth. We've had a developer, we have a plan pretty much in place. It's just getting everybody's to say, yeah, this looks like it's gonna happen, so.
And it wouldn't preclude you doing something earlier, coming back earlier with the plan, right?
No, it wouldn't.
Okay.
No, it wouldn't. I mean, we've been at meeting after meeting, and there's been lots of discussion on this with the mayor and the whole group. So we feel we're pretty close, but we really need a extended year just because of the complicated nature of any building project.
Great, thank you.
You say you have a tentative plan that seems to be agreeable. What's the outline on that?
As far as timeline, or you want to know?
No, as far as specifics as what the project might look like, since you say it seems to be.
Well, I mean, one of the ideas was to repurpose the existing structure, not just to level it, but again, we'd have to come back before you guys. And then the other one is to, the original concept that was there, that was presented here, is to level it and put it up. So it all comes to finances, and what can we actually finance as a hospital and use that without spending 30 million bucks on a site that should probably be 10, 12.
What's the land size on that again?
I don't know offhand.
4 acres, 3 acres?
I don't think it's 4 acres.
Okay, I don't
Yeah, it
think
might-
It's
it might-
just two lots,
yeah,
but I'm not sure of
It might be
the.
closer
It's
to
not a
2.
big piece, yeah. I know the property, I just
Oh.
wanted to know.
Yeah, it's a good sized piece of property, actually.
It's in a good spot.
And if I may add, whatever the conclusion is on how exactly the property is going to be used, we would come back. St. Peter's would come back with a more detailed proposal. It's not as though we would proceed under the current redevelopment agreement because of the, unless, of course, we do stick with the exact or, original plan as described there.
Still may happen.
Right.
We're just looking at all different options and what's really the best financial for us, and really what the city's gonna say, yeah, that's okay. So, we don't really know just yet. Unfortunately, it's been 3 years, I guess.
Like the election.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, really. So things change. There's been lots of ideas thrown around, nothing really concrete just yet.
Have you guys done anything with the building itself? I know you have the
No.
landscaping and security. I mean, you keep it secure. I
Yeah.
mean, has there been anything done with, we'll just say, for argument's sake, like asbestos removal or
No,
anything like that?
no.
Nothing?
We did do a phase 1, phase 2 environmental study on that. We do have that complete. But
Right.
no, nothing's been done.
I know something was done a long time ago, but I wasn't
Yeah.
quite sure.
Yeah, we have that detail done. We spent some money over there so far.
Right.
I think so lighting will be good around the area 'cause it's pretty dark. Nights, I walk my dog in the area.
Do you really?
So, yeah. And I seen that it's been taken care of.
Yeah.
I know the landscape and everything.
I park my car there every day. That's where I park my car out front. Parking's an issue for us, but I park there. I mean, So we're still using it, there's people there, security still attends to it every night, so, you know, we try to keep it up as best we can. I think we do a pretty good job with it.
No, there's still comments. It's, you can open.
Any comments from the public? Can you please recognize yourself?
Certainly. Charles Cradaville, Brunswick, New Brunswick today. I just wanted to ask, so there was an environmental study done. What did it find? What was the
No, I don't have all that detail on me. I mean, it's one of these big, thick documents, so.
Sure, so is there contamination on the site?
No, I mean, we would have to remediate that immediately, so, I mean, all the details in there. It was more concerned about what's inside the building. So, you know, phase 1, phase 2 goes into detail to what you'd have to look at if you were to build. And there was no, like, outstanding crazy obstacles, you know, within it. It identifies certain things, but there was nothing that's gonna stop us from building there, basically.
Gotcha. And so it's still an option that it might, you might keep the plan that you already got adopted at this
It
point?
could, yeah, I mean, right.
Can you
right.
just enlighten me, since I don't know the plan, what was the
The
plan? that
original
got
plan
approved?
is to build an office building there with underneath parking. And that's what I think is in the
Without
original.
It
going
is.
underground.
Correct, without going
Yeah.
underground, correct.
So the lower floor would be parking, keeping the same facade, I think you mentioned.
Correct.
So it kind of fits in with the whole,
Correct.
the balance of the building itself and then having
That's correct.
space for whatever it may be, doctor's offices or.
Correct.
Right, that's how it's described in the redevelopment.
That is.
Mhm.
that's-
Gotcha. And so would it be a new building, or would it be?
That's a new building.
That'd be a new,
Yeah.
to demolish and
Right.
then build. And just, is there an approximate number of, like, square feet or offices?
I don't even remember, I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna say 40,000 square feet. It's
You know, I
probably-
have it here, but I'm not sure if we, let me see, I can tell you in just one second.
Thank you. And also the number of parking spaces would be helpful.
Let's see. You know, I can go into, I can explain it to you a little bit.
Follow
later
up with
if
you
give me
later.
a
Okay,
minute, yeah.
sure. And, okay, that's all. Thank you.
Can we do a
Roll call?
Yes, please.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell.
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando.
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Shall I go into the regular?
Mm.
We're all done with you guys, so.
Good, thank
Hang.
you, thank you, everybody.
Resolution number 27 is a resolution authorizing and approving payment of bills for the month of July and
No,
August 2016.
So moved. Second motion.
You gotta-
There we go. We got it.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Resolution number
John,
20.
can we, is there any comments on this resolution from the public?
Oh, yes, sorry, which one is this?
27.
This is the repairs to AMP 1?
No.
Payment of bills.
Payment of bills.
Payment
Oh,
of
I'm
bills.
Okay. Now, this next one is.
Go ahead.
Resolution number 29 is a resolution authorizing award of contract. Sorry, 28 was, we just did.
For the 28th of 10?
Yeah, 28 was the redevelopment
Was
one.
the redevelopment.
So
Okay,
29,
yeah, I marked the wrong one off, I'm sorry about that.
That's
Right,
okay.
example one. Yep, I got it. Thank
ready?
you.
29 is a resolution authorizing award of contract for amp one repairs with Ascend Construction Management through MRESC number 14/15-19GC3.
Can I have a motion, please, for this resolution?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, that was Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
Okay. And second.
Any explanation or anything, John?
Sure, as you know, we've been looking at doing our upgrades using the capital funds that were recently approved. This actually contract is for replacement of exterior railings. We have a pretty good number of railings that have met their service life. These are iron exterior railings
Right.
throughout the 259 units that are up here, and they are they're in need of replacement. So this contract is through the co-op, which is a pre-bid contract, and it is to fabricate and install and replace those railings.
Is there kind of a deadline date that, like, these will all be done maybe before, the bad weather hits? So making sure that, people in and out are.
Pending its approval today.
Yeah.
There's a 3-week fabrication process and a
Sure.
2 to 3 week installation. So our hope is to get it in, if we're able to move on this, to notify the contractor this end of this week, have fabrication begin October 1st, and have installation completed by mid to the end of November.
These aluminum rails instead of.
These are, sorry?
Aluminum?
These are
Steel?
These are steel, and the reason they're steel is because some of the risers are 4
Right.
steps high, and they're steel stabilized railings, so they actually are not just direct railings, they actually have stabilizers on them so that they don't move or they can't sway or anything like that. Correct, and we found the steel actually is much more, obviously it's much more durable. Some of these railings have been here for over 25 years. So the other ones, the faux railings don't
Is that Klim? Who's on that, Klim?
ascend.
It's in.
Yeah. The non-steel railings don't usually hold up that long.
Some of these handrails are involved with some of the precast stuff that we did.
Correct.
And
Well,
some of
no,
it, and some of it's older, meaning like block, or we have to replace all these.
some are going to be on the precast
Right.
ones, and some are going to be on some of the older original stoops that are still in place.
Okay.
The stoops are okay.
Yeah, I don't know if
It's-
there's some kind of warranty with them and, with the precast guy, but I doubt it, right?
Yeah, I think there's 3 to 5 years, and those were done well.
Yeah, I know,
well
we were
after
doing
that.
them a while back.
But most of them are in pre-existing, stoops that have been around for years and years.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the commissioners on this resolution? Any comments from the public, please?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what was the amount, the cost?
Sure. $59,054.13.
And that's for 259.
No, it's not all of them.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not all of them.
Oh,
How many units we had?
Yeah, that's the total units on the ones that we had. I believe there are 60 units in need of replacements
So it's about $1,000 each.
for, fabrication installation.
And are there any other plans for any other capital improvements to these places here? The Schwartz Robeson, is this the only one coming up?
No, we're gonna see, you'll see a few more as we go through and allocate the funds. So if you recall, at the beginning of the summer, we talked about the capital improvements that we were doing. So we'll be doing some flooring projects, some furnace and boiler replacement, and some other minor ones. But those are probably the 3 that will be the largest.
Thank you very much.
And those will go on through the winter, I'm sorry.
Sure. I have, roll call, John?
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell?
Abstain?
Abstain. Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
And Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Okay, 311. Oh, I'm sorry, 301. Resolution number 30 is a resolution ratifying and approving attendance of Commissioner Kevin Jones to professional training development from September 14th through September 16th, 2016.
So a motion on this resolution, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who moved?
So moved.
Oh, okay.
A second.
Oh, this is Commissioner Training? I think it was Egerton, Mass, and he's not here to talk about it, so I'm sure he'll probably talk about it the next meeting.
We're gonna
I
get back
talked
in
to
a
him
little
today
bit.
about it.
Okay.
Said it was very informative.
Any questions? No questions or comments from the commissioners? Public?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, why is this being approved after the fact instead of, before?
Sure, we don't have an August meeting,
Right.
so typically any activities that occur between July 31st, or the July meeting and the September meeting are done in a ratification process.
Okay, I respectfully suggest you might want to consider having an August meeting. There's nothing stopping you from doing it, and if there's business that needs to be done, it's better to do it beforehand so people can, weigh their options and decide what to do, rather than just get stuck with the bill. Can you tell me how much this bill is for this travel and seminar, I guess?
Registration was $595. Travel reimbursement is up to $500. Hotel and accommodations is $1,129.91. And the per diem is up to $400.
And they went by bus and by train. That's what Kevin told me, bus and train. So I think they.
I haven't got the receipt yet, so I wouldn't. But typically they have 30 days after
Yeah,
returning the
that's
receipt.
what I was talking to him today.
Okay, so it's looking like $2,500 for this.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Okay, and I just want a little more information about what it was. You said commissioner training? Is this something that all commissioners have to do, or why did only Mr. Jones attend?
So this is a annual professional development for commissioners. This is not a, it's an annual training that he typically goes to. So, I don't know, it's not a, it's an annual training.
Throughout the year.
Yeah, training, right.
It's a-
There are various trainings that are throughout the year, this is one that he chose to go
It's
to.
an
So he
annual.
chooses to go to this one?
Right.
Okay, and I'm just curious, are there, similar or equivalent trainings available in the state of New Jersey or close by? Why, is this Martha's Vineyard that the trip is to? I mean, why do we have to go there?
Oh, I don't believe that they provide that training here in the state. Leo Dower is the trainer, I believe.
It's a national training, Kevin told me. It's a national training, and Kevin said he went, because this was the closest one that he could make. And then I think the next one he said is New Orleans and so it's spread out around the country.
I got you, so there's only a few in the country.
Yeah.
This was the closest.
The closest one that he went to.
And one of the benefits is really networking with folks from other housing authorities, where you really understand some best practices and some ideas. Over the years, I've gone to a couple of them, and you come back with a lot of information from the training, but also from other housing authorities. So it's well worth the investment.
Okay, well, I look forward to hearing about it at the next board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for the business.
You have any old business?
Old business?
Public comments, any comments from the public?
Oh, I'm sorry, Chair, I'm sorry, just, excuse me real quick, Councilor just reminded me. So we had a motion and a second, we did not have an action item, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Can we have a
Sure.
roll call, John?
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Rondo?
Yes.
And Chair?
Yes,
Okay, acting Chair, sorry.
right.
Sorry, go ahead. I believe you're in open session now.
Yeah, the comment from the public?
Yes, please. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak. Just first, a point of process, or point of order. Who is the vice chair of the board? Mr.
Commissioner
Giorgiani?
Giorgiani is the vice chair, Commissioner Kevin Jones is the second vice chair.
Okay, and so there's just a couple of absent commissioners today. Nobody resigned or anything?
No, but we did hear from Commissioner Capano, who notified us that he is no longer serving in the holdover capacity.
So he's left the board?
He has left the board, correct.
Okay, and when was that you heard from him?
August, I think, end of August, beginning of September, I can't,
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Wanted to follow up on a few things I've brought up at prior meetings. The first is, when is the board going to get that full report on the improper parking fines? Did the operations committee get the chance to meet yet?
Chair?
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, Commissioner, I'm sorry, Chairman Walde actually is the vice chair of that subcommittee. He's been out of the country, so I believe he is trying to schedule that meeting for October. We have not met yet. The operations committee hasn't met yet. He hasn't called for the meeting. I do know he had to go out of the country, so.
Okay, and are there any other members on that committee?
Yes,
Who?
Commissioner Caldwell is the other board member on that committee.
Okay, so that's all it comes down to is you got to get those two commissioners in a room to have that meeting.
Right, and any staff that are assigned to that operations committee, which I
Gotcha,
believe is.
okay. Well, I am looking forward to the full report on that. I raised some, I think, valid concerns about the way that was being done with the parking, and that you really should look at it and hopefully work something out with the parking authority in the future. I also had brought up the water here. As you might have read or seen, the city has yet again had a water quality violation. They exceeded the amount of total trihalomethanes allowed in the water for the month of August, I guess, for that sample period. And I just wanted to reiterate, I think that the water should be tested in these places here. And I know we have this one case where somebody complained and got them to test the water in one unit. But other than that, was there any testing done in the past 5 or 10 years here?
Yeah, Chair, I believe the city does a regular testing. I'm not aware of when they do them, you know, or what they do. But that one unit and the one building test, they actually tested the building.
Not just a unit, right?
Correct, yeah, because they,
And how many units are in the building?
there are 8 units in that building
Okay.
at the time, so, but I'm not aware of any other, I wouldn't be aware of it. I guess you'd have to ask the city. But I do know they do testing, and they don't necessarily always tell us. They'll just say, hey, can we get your utility room? And
Sure. So that one time that there was testing of this building was, what contaminants were tested for?
Oh, I wouldn't know that. The city came in, she complained that the water was brown and that it had particles in it and it smelled funny or something of that nature. And when they came, they did whatever they do. They tested it and they came up with the conclusion that it wasn't brown and it didn't have any particles and it didn't have any. But I don't know what type of test they did.
Okay, well, I'm seriously concerned about the quality of the water in town, especially the potential for lead poisoning. That's just one contaminant, and what I'm hearing is we're not clear on what contaminants were tested for and what contaminants weren't. I think that's something that ought to be discerned by this board and by this agency, just to find out the baseline, what testing has been done, what testing hasn't been done, and I think you might find that there's some testing you ought to do if you can first make it past that step. And I've been bringing this up for a few months now, so I'd like to see some effort made to determine what tests have been done and what's being tested for and what.
I just know I get something mailed to me in town, because I live here, well, I have to live here, but, I live here in town, and, they tell you, I don't really know how much to read about it, but, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I understand your point completely.
Yeah, and I just, the city's a big city, there's 50,000 people here. It's possible they're doing no sampling in this particular neighborhood. And I'm particularly concerned about this neighborhood because I know there's a lot of children here, and I know that the McKinley School had some fountains that were very high in terms of the lead. So
This is documented?
yeah, absolutely. 187 parts per million, was 12 times the allowable limit. So off the charts, really. And so right next door, makes sense to do testing here, especially because there's young people and vulnerable people, people who are vulnerable to lead poisoning.
The people.
Yeah. So I hope that you move fast on this. I also have to raise a concern, ask some questions about the violence in the neighborhood here. Is it true that this building was damaged in a shooting?
Sean, would you like to
Yeah,
say
Mr.
that?
Chair, we can't comment on any ongoing matters of that type because there are active investigations going on and cases that the police have brought. But I can say that we're pleased that the police are moving forward with all of the activities that they're doing, and that we're hopeful that the outcome will be the people who were involved in something off-site are taken and justice is done.
Okay. Can you give me any indication of, has there been a spike or an increase in the amount of violence or the number of shootings in this neighborhood?
That would be a question for the police.
Police, I was gonna say.
We don't, that would be a police question. I'm sure they would have records of that if you go down to the records area and ask.
Okay, I'll pursue it. I think it would be something that people should want to know here, whether things are moving in the right direction or not. And certainly I think August was kind of a bad month for the city in terms of gun violence. And, the police captain told me that this building was hit with gunfire, that their building here was hit with gunfire. And I'm pretty sure it was this one. And, that's scary. That's a daytime, broad daylight.
That's what happened during the day?
Yeah, and I can't comment on it because.
No, I'm not saying any comment. I'm sure it just happened during the day. Is that what you-
Yeah, it was like, there was an alley parking lot, I think is where it originated. But yeah, that it shows how dangerous this can be, is that, bullets can have unintended consequences. They can hurt innocent people. And,
Absolutely.
if there's that kind of a problem here, I think it should be, it's everyone's responsibility to push.
Well, it's everybody's responsibility too, but if it happens across the street, and then it affects us here, doesn't mean it came from here.
Of
It
course,
just means,
of course.
you know, so I'm not, you know, defending myself here or the board or anybody else or the housing authority, but the same token is if it happened across the street and something had strayed, right, we don't want to see anybody get hurt, absolutely. And, you know, we try to take care of what's going on, you know, here. That is across the street at Aldi's and, you know.
True, and you know, I do have actually some trouble getting information out of the New Brunswick Police Department, believe it or not. So I'm not clear on how many shootings there were and whether any did take place in this neighborhood or not, but, you know, I know that there have been some, you know, trends that are alarming that I noticed this summer, and so I think it would be in everybody's interest to address that.
One of the things I should say, is, if I may, Chair, is that it's important. Obviously, I wrote this book on influence, and if you study, what happens is there's a lot of duplication. And so if you look where there are suicides, there are a lot of duplicate. So actually publicizing is not necessarily a public good. If you go around telling people there's a gunshot here, there's a gunshot here, that actually can increase the violence. So I you know, so that's why we let the police, you know, we allow them to tell you what. But I'm saying publicizing it in this instance, when it comes to crime and other things, is not necessarily a social good. Just so you know.
Fair enough, yeah, thank you for your input. I gotta ask about does the authority still have somebody who is the maintenance person? Is Mr. Sweeney still working here?
We can't comment on personnel matters like that.
Okay, well, I mean, is someone in that role? Do you have a maintenance director or maintenance?
We have an acting maintenance person, and we have
Acting.
maintenance staff, sure.
Okay, and who is the acting maintenance person?
Dan Toto.
Oh, okay. And so, just the situation with Mr. Sweeney, I'm not sure, you gotta be able to tell me at least, is
I
he?
can't comment on personnel matters.
So he still works for the authority?
That's
He
something I
hasn't,
can't.
hasn't separated or been terminated, or?
Can't comment on personnel matters like that.
So it's a secret whether or not he works for the authority? I mean, you gotta give me something here, like.
I can say that personal matters are personal matters, and we have an organization chart. I'd be happy to share that with you if you could take a look, but we can't comment on personnel matters like that.
Okay, I mean, I'll have to pursue this another way then. How about the property manager? Is there somebody in that role, the senior portfolio manager?
Yes, we still have a senior portfolio manager.
Okay, it's not an acting, it's same person.
Correct.
Okay, and I've just heard from a lot of folks in the neighborhood that they have trouble getting a hold of this person, that at least recently, this person, Ms. Ito White, has been MIA. Is there any reason for that? I mean, what's going on here?
Again, I haven't heard anything like that. Who had told you that they're having trouble getting hold of them? Is there a name and an address?
Many residents, I'm not gonna reveal my sources.
Well,
but-
if there's an issue, I'd be happy to make sure it gets addressed, but I haven't heard that.
Okay. So
But if
she-
you have a specific person or an issue, that person that has an issue that they haven't gotten to the property manager, I'd be happy to take their name and make sure that
Tell them to call you.
it gets addressed. Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
They usually do if they can't get a hold of her.
Okay, yeah, it makes
That's why it's
sense.
interesting that you said that somebody said they couldn't get a hold of her, multiple
Yeah.
people, but that's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be happy to help them.
Sure, okay. Is 217 Somerset Street affiliated with this housing authority in any way, or is it just 55 Harvey that's part of your AMPs? 217 Somerset is the Providence Square one.
Right, yeah, there's no public housing units there. We do have subsidies there for Section 8 and other subsidies, but we don't have any public housing units in that building.
Okay, I'm just interested because I saw something on the Rent Control Board agenda that they had some complaint against them as the landlord there. I guess it's maybe
Yes.
Penrose or something. Is the authority aware of this?
We wouldn't be aware. If we're giving subsidy to individuals in the unit and there's a complaint on the owner, that wouldn't be something we're
Okay, I'm just,
typically made. But we'll look into it.
thank you, yeah, please do.
You said it was a complaint?
Yeah, I believe it's already been mitigated, adjudicated, whatever. It's been handled by the Rent Control Office
Okay.
in New Brunswick. It didn't end up going to a hearing, but I did notice it on the agenda, and I wanted to
And it was a rental complaint, not a facility complaint, right?
correct, I believe, the rent control ordinance,
Hmm.
governs how much you're allowed to charge
Yep.
mostly, so I think that's what it was. almost done. I wanted to ask about the windfall of money you got from the deal with the parking authority. I believe on August 1st, the housing authority was going to get $126,000 or something like that. Where did that money go? What is that going towards?
Funds go into our operating account, and they're used towards operations.
Okay, so just kind of general stuff?
Yeah, it goes-
Not
we have
anything
operating-
specific?
No, we have an operating account, it goes into the operating account, and it's used towards operating expenses.
Okay, and so does the board have any plans to allocate that to any certain causes? Or, I mean, I don't understand where ultimately that money's going to go.
But we have an operating budget, so it goes into the operations line item, and then it's used for operations. So it could go for anything relating to the operations of the authority. Our funding fluctuates, so it's not an additional amount of money.
Right.
So it's money that comes in and then goes towards operations or operation items. It can be used for anything in the operations side.
Okay, and what time of year is the budget completed?
Our budget is done annually. Our fiscal year ends June 30th.
It's wacky, right?
Okay, so the new budget.
It would go into
it's-
whatever.
It's already incorporated into the new
Correct, it would
budget.
go into the new budget item that goes from
Gotcha.
July 1 forward.
Okay, and
16 to 17.
and yeah, the last thing I wanted to address is just the, I guess in a way, the facial hair that I've been growing ever since I filed a lawsuit against the housing authority, seeking records that are public records under the Oprah law. I really want to shave, but I, still have not, the matter still has not been resolved, and I understand you probably don't want to comment on ongoing litigation, but I do want to just implore this agency, if you get another Oprah request, to comply, because the failure to comply with Oprah requests from last October and last December is haunting us all today, and that I still have not gotten these very basic records like emails, travel records, stuff that should be public and the public is entitled to, and really is supposed to be produced within 7 business days. And here we are, nearly a year later. And I'm disappointed, mostly because I believe it's costing the people who fund this agency money. It's not costing me any money. But the taxpayers who fund this, American taxpayers, are presumably paying legal bills towards this. So can I just ask, how much has the Manfredi and Pellicchio firm billed so far for this matter?
I wouldn't have that amount
I don't know.
readily available, so.
Is there a ballpark? I mean, is this 5 figures, 6 figures?
Again, I wouldn't have that amount readily available. That's not something that we would have readily available, so.
I'd like to give you an answer right now.
Okay. I mean, I would like this to all be over with. I'd like to produce.
You stopped shaving a year ago?
In February was when I filed the
Okay,
lawsuit.
so it hasn't been a year, okay, just to check. Thank you.
Well, the Oprah requests were from last October, one of them, so.
Something that's going to be resolved, is this something that's going to be resolved? I just want to ask, is this something that's going to be resolved?
We can't comment on legal matters. Your
Right.
attorney's here, he's gonna
Yeah,
tell you.
well, I'm
We
just
can't
saying,
comment on
is
legal
this
matters.
something that's going to be resolved? That's all I'm asking, is this something that's going to be resolved? Whenever?
Well, we can have a discussion in closed session if the
Okay,
board would like
okay.
to
All right, fine,
update you on it, but
Charlie.
it's pending
Just
litigation,
commenting
so.
on it, so.
Yeah, I wasn't asking for a
Trying
comment,
to
really.
get your shade here or something.
It might seem silly, but this is important. The agency ought to be transparent, and it's frustrating because I do deal with a lot of different government agencies, and never before have I encountered this much, obstruction or problems obtaining basic government records. And I think that, like it or not, Oprah is the law in the state of New Jersey. So if you get another request, I've actually haven't filed a request in many months, but I'm going to have to soon. I'm going to have to request certain documents about some of the things I asked about, and perhaps other things. And just please, I'm going to show you guys respect, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, but you've got to comply with the state law, and you've got to produce these records in a timely fashion. So going forward, I hope that will be the practice of this authority, and thank you so much for giving me the time to speak tonight.
Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing, anybody else, any questions, Commissioner, anything, comments or things? Can we have a
Need a motion
motion
and second.
to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, who's second? Commissioner Simpson?
Yes,
So,
Commissioner Simpson?
yes.
Commissioner Caldwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
yes.
And Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
We are adjourned at the time
That's that.
7:26.